This is Oneplus 9 Pro, and I think it's time to revisit it in early 2023. So it's already been 2 years since this phone is out, and honestly you would never tell this is a 2 years old technology. It's fast, it's reliable, its design is just amazing. And of course this is my friend's phone, and he corrected a bit, but it doesn't affect any usage, and the cameras are intact. So when you put it in its original case, you still have perfectly good phone. And this original case is actually just amazing. I've been using it for a few days now. Took a few shots with it, played a few games, tested battery, and this is how to sum it up. Display, amazing. Software needs a bit adjusting to it, but it has a lot of options. And the camera is very good, but we'll go over it. Let me first show you how good does fingerprint scanner work. So as you can see, incredibly fast. I'd say 9 out of 10 times it will be great. The display is big, huge, 6.7 inches, and it has 2K resolution and HDR10 Plus standard, 120 Hz refresh rate, 1300 nits of peak brightness, and you can see it compared with Huawei P30 or Asus Zenfone 9. It's a pretty darn big phone. Honestly, I don't like big phones, and I would not probably use it because it's too big for me. But yeah, one thing else I don't like about this design is that volume and buttons are on the left side, and I always say that's not neat, because if you put it somewhere on the stand, if you want to turn volume up or down, you have to raise it, then press it. But this switch for mute voice sound or vibrate, it's great. When you use it, you also get a feel about how good haptic design is on this phone. So everything you do, you get those little vibrations on it. 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. This is the top model. You also have a model with less storage and less RAM. Quadruple camera setup. So the main camera is 48 megapixels, f1.8. Ultra wide camera is 50 megapixels, and it's f2.2, and it's quite big sensor. It's bigger than most other phones have the normal sensor. The zoom camera is 8 megapixel, f2.4, so it's kind of the same as you have it on, let's say, S20 FE, S21 FE, P30, Mate 20 Pro. Yeah, so they all use kind of the same sensor. Of course, you get 2 megapixel monochromatic camera. The video tops out at 8K 30 frames per second, and you can go up to 4K 120 frames per second in slow-mo or 60 frames per second in normal recording. The front camera is 16 megapixel, f2.4. It's a small sensor, but it will do its job. Unfortunately, it doesn't support 4K video recording, so only 1080p. As for the battery, 4500 milliamp battery with 65 watts wired charging, so about 30 minutes from 0 to 100%, and 50 watts wireless charging, so that's like 45 minutes from 0 to 100%. With specs like this, you can go to it probably until 2027 with no problem. As for the software side, it got the Android 13 update. Just a second, about device. So yeah, no other updates. Oxygen OS version 13.0. Everything you do on this phone, it will do extremely well and extremely fast. So as you can see, every action I do, it is extremely smooth. So wherever you go, whatever you switch on, off, you go through apps, you launch games, you launch camera, everything is great. It's the Snapdragon 888, 5G processor made of 5nm structure. So yeah, very power efficient. Battery life, it's I'd say around 6 hours, 6.5 hours when you just do anything you want on it. And if you put it on, let's say, Full HD 60 frames per second, you'll get 8 hours out of it, no problem. First of all, this is not my first OnePlus, but it's the first OnePlus I have that has this always on display. This is its always on display. You can customize it, you have really a lot of options to customize it. But for me, kind of this one that I'm using now, it's great. So it's kind of, I don't know why, but this line reminds me of Jedi Knight's lightsaber. So yeah, that's why I'm using it. There is no built-in call recording because this phone uses Google's phone app. It doesn't use native from OnePlus, or at least from ColorOS where you can activate it. But I guess if you don't use it that much, okay. Camera software. On the left you have quick settings like ratio of photos, eye on or off. I always turned it off because I honestly don't see anything good in it. Timer and flash. Here you can choose camera lenses, so you have 0.6, 1, 3.3, and you can go all the way to the 30x. And the zoom lens is actually quite decent. Night mode, you can use it on main camera, on ultra wide camera, but unfortunately you cannot use it on zoom camera. That's something that, let's say, good old P30 can do. So you can go to, let's say, you know what, I'll leave this for separate video, okay, to compare them. And you also have a tripod mode, and then it takes longer exposure. So the video, you can choose to shoot video with any of these cameras. It also has HDR video, so you kind of get that bright shadows and controlled highlights. And you also have night mode video. I'll show you a sample later. And there's a ultra steady video that kind of uses ultra wide camera, then bit crops in, so you get very stable video recordings. You can shoot at 8K 30 frames per second. If you switch to 60 or 120, you will get 4K. I said that in intro that you can shoot slow-mo only with 120. I was wrong there. So you can shoot normal 4K video with 120 frames per second. And it kind of looks very smooth, sorry, not very steady, but when you edit it, then you can get some nice slow motion shots of it. Portrait mode doesn't use 3x camera, it uses 1x, and it zooms it in a bit. You can change the aperture step in it. Under more options you have movie. That's kind of pro mode for video recording, where you have all possible options to use. You have long exposure mode. It's the thing we already seen on a lot of phones, starting with Huawei, but not too many options. Panorama, self-explained. Time-lapse, tilt shift, kind of blurs out whatever is not in focus. Pro mode, in Pro mode you can use all three cameras, and that's great. And what else? Slow motion goes up to 480 frames per second. And dual video. Hello, you have two cameras, you use this in the same time. You can choose how it will look. So yeah, decent camera software. I would prefer it to be able to use night mode in all cameras, not just ultra wide and main, but yeah. Okay, let's check software a bit more. So what I like about it, that it has this side panel where you can have some actions like screenshot or screen recording, and you can also put your apps. So I put like calculator. If you are switching through some tabs or something and you need to calculate something without exiting, that's a great option. One hand mode, it's activated this way. It's not the best one hand mode out there. You know, I prefer the one from Huawei more. So one where you can do this, and then whole screen short kind of becomes smaller. By default, if you swipe down, you will get some shelf mode. I don't like it. So if you go to settings, and here you have swipe down on home screen, you select it, and you will get notification drawer. So yeah, that's great. Under the same settings, you can activate some options like raise to wake, and double tap to wake, or turn off screen. Yeah, it works on the lock screen, but do you remember the old LGs where it worked everywhere? Yeah, that was neat. When you enter some game, let's say PUBG Mobile, you get this, I don't know, it's probably gaming mode. So launch your game faster, turn on, blah blah blah. So you get some boosts in game, even though this CPU and RAM combinations, it's enough, plenty for its own, so that you don't need it. Okay, I'll show you PUBG and Diablo Immortal playback in a minute. If you don't like gesture navigations, and I'm the one of the people that doesn't like it, you can switch each to buttons, and you can replace how buttons will be ordered. Under gestures and motions, you can also use like screen off gestures, touch with hold 3 fingers to screenshot, and I don't know. I don't use a lot of that stuff, but you can use it. And there's also special features options where you have a Oneplus integrated stuff like split screen, flexible windows, quick return, and very nice options to have if you're one of those users that like to play with those. If you put something in folders, they borrow the neat function from Huawei that you can enlarge those folders. You can access to the apps directly from a folder, you don't need to enter in it. You can use it on more folders. Also, you have a lot of widget options that are compatible with all other apps that use Android 13 system for custom widgets. Okay, this is full HD, 30 frames per second, just to test how the camera lens switches from 0.6x to 3 times. Okay, so we have main camera kicking in now and zoom camera now. It's pretty smooth and it's probably the best camera switching that I've seen apart from iPhone. Okay, this is 4K 60 frames per second image stabilization test. It seems alright on the phone. I'll probably have to lower it to 1080p though for rest of the video. Unfortunately, in 4K 120 frames per second, electrical image stabilization is very poor, so use it only for stationary shots. Okay, this is dual video recording. It supports 2x digital zoom, and it looks okay. Okay, let's take a look at a few shots. So I'll go just very fast through it. Portrait shot, not the best out there, not the worst. It has decent separation, decent textures, but it kind of over polishes the face. Ultra wide shot, not the best to use in closed environment, but still kind of usable. 1x shot, very decent, very nice. Look at this foreground background separation. 2x shot, it's okay, detailed enough. 3x shot, this is what you get when you have real nice 3x camera and not those digital crop ins. Let's move further. Portrait shot, this one is actually very nice. Unfortunately, camera doesn't support portrait mode with the 3x camera, so you have to use the main lens, but it's big enough so you can crop in evenly. Okay, normal mode, night mode, not a big difference. I kind of prefer night mode a bit. Ultra wide shot during the day and on the open, it's very nice, very detailed, great colors. When you switch up to 1x, colors remain almost the same, and that's the great, bit warmer, but that's the great thing they managed to pull. 3x shot, very nice. 10x, okay, still usable. 30x, trash, but it's almost on any other phone also trash, except for the newest ultras, pixels and stuff like that. Okay, this is as near as you can focus with this phone, so this is ultra wide camera. Fortunately, it does have autofocus, so this is what you get. This is some kind of mode that simulates the old camera. It's good here and there to use, but I don't think you will use it every day because it's nothing spectacular. Same thing, this is just normal shot during the night. This is that same mode. You get those night atmospheric photos. Just a simple photo that I shoot directly into sun. It's actually very impressive. This is early sun, so It's very bright here, and I think not any phone would do much better than this actually. Again, those atmospheric shots. This is big, the shot a bit here overblown, but that's because of the sun. What can you do? Not the best HDR system out there, but yeah. Normal shot, 1x camera, portrait mode. You can see my fat head here and my friends. Okay, normal shot, monochromatic shot. Usable, not as nearly as good as all the Huawei phones. But yeah, kind of decent. 1x shot. Sorry, this was ultra wide, 1x, and this is 3x, and this is ultra wide with a very close focus. Again, that ultra wide, whatever it is, atmospheric mode. Okay, this is a normal shot, and this is high-res shot. Let me just compare them one to each other to see are there big differences. So 48 megapixels versus what it is, 12 megapixels. Yeah, let me just zoom in a bit. So when you zoom in like this, so it's the same, I don't see much difference. Let me see edges. Edges are a bit better on the normal shots, so yeah. And shadows are the same. So yeah, no big advantages in shooting in high megapixels. Few monochromatic mode shots. I love black and white shots, but this is not the best black and white sensor out there. Okay, 3x shot with my cats just playing in the garden. That's it. Pretty okay, decent shooter in low light. Not so bad. I didn't test it at all, but here in a closed environment, I know what to expect. It represents colors kind of okay. It was not this purplish wall, it's a bit more white blue, but yeah, that's what you get. Okay, one thing I found about video recording is that if you use full HD 30 frames per second, you can use 3.3x camera to shoot a video, but if you switch to 4K or to 60 frames per second, let me show you. Full HD 60 frames per second, no 3x camera. 4K 30 frames per second, no 3 times camera. So yeah, only full HD 30 frames per second, and that's kind of disappointing. To sum everything up, OnePlus 9 Pro is still a great phone with amazing hardware, decent software and usable camera. And for the end, I leave you with a bit of PUBG and Diablo Immortal gameplay, and see you in the next video.
have to turn us up ahead then. Aye. Darkness. Get away from those villagers. Abilities already. A short respite should be enough.